and welcome to Creator Toolbox. This is the show that helps you, our wonderful ServiceNow developers, put tools in your toolbox. Kind of see why we titled it Creator Toolbox. Let's do some quick introductions. We'll go alphabetical.
That's me. My name is Brad Tilton. I am a senior developer advocate with the developer program here at ServiceNow. I've been developing on the platform for a while, and one of my specialties is front-end development, and we're going to take a look at some front-end stuff today. Earl.
Alphabetical.
Go ahead, Earl. I know I said alphabetical, but I should go last anyway.
Hi, everyone. I am Earl Duque. I am a not senior developer advocate with the team. I'm brand new, 3 weeks in. And I was mostly in the nonprofit and higher ed sector before I jumped into the team. So I'm still learning a lot, and I'm excited to see what we're learning today.
And he's learning, just like software development, that even video requirements change on the fly. No, we said this. Now we're doing that. My name is Chuck Tomasi, Senior Developer Advocate, and apparently video director today. Been with ServiceNow since 2010, been on the platform since 2008, and a long history of software development before that, which we will not mention operating systems or languages. So I believe today Brad is our presenter. So what have we got on the plate today?
Yeah, so today we are going to take a look at viewports in UI Builder. So viewports have been around since Quebec, and they are a way to basically create a space on the screen where you can put a subpage. It's maybe a little bit like an iframe, but not quite, as we'll see. The advantage to viewports are that you can, create a page or multiple subpages to your overall UI Builder page. And then if you want to change the content, you can just change the content on the subpages without changing the content on your UI Builder page, or you can kind of move other pages in and out. So the thing that was released in the Quebec release or in the Rome release is that you can create these viewports natively. There's now a viewport component, where in the Quebec release you had to use like a tab component or something like that to get these created. So we're going to take a look at how we can use these viewports and what is kind of a real life example, and we're going to look at how you pass data into the subpages, and then how you can take events out of the subpages and bubble them up to the top page.
All right.
Yeah. Any announcements before we hop into a screen share?
We've got a Tech Now coming up next Tuesday on encryption, so you don't want to miss that. Go over to devlink.sn/TN89reg. And you can get registered for that, get the notification in case you missed the email. But I know there's a lot of people out there with a lot of questions about encryption. We've got various options, which one's right for you, and how do they all fit together. So we are going to be doing our tech check/rehearsal tomorrow. And then the real thing comes at you at 8 a.m. Pacific time on the 31st. So looking forward to that.
1 week from right now.
And the day after, November 1st, we'll be releasing a breakpoint introducing our very own Earl Duque.
All right.
Who's that?
All right, well, I am ready to screen share, so I will go ahead and share my screen now. All right, and Zoom tells me participants can now see my application. I think that's a fairly new message I haven't seen before. So I have a UI Builder up, and I have a page that I have kind of started that we're going to add some things to, and then create some sub pages here. So I've got kind of container up here with a couple of things, and then I have a simple list component. I almost said widget. I have a simple list component here that has a couple of sample records in it. So what I want to do is I've got this notes app, and I want to be able to create a new note or update a note from this kind of main pane in the middle here. And we actually did something similar on a Creator Toolbox a couple of months ago, where we did the same thing with the same layout, except we didn't use a viewport, and it was a little more complex how we had to handle it, depending on if you wanted a new node or update an existing node. So hopefully we're able to simplify things a bit with this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a component here, and we're going to add it here, and I want a viewport component. All right, so we have this viewport component now, and it is wanting me to add a subpage. So it's telling me I don't have any subpages yet, but I can add one by going to edit content. It's going to tell me to save my my main page, which is that notes CTB page. And now I am in the place where I create a subpage. So let's create a subpage. We're going to call this let's call it notes landing, and let's say CTB. That'll work. So this is going to be the landing page. This is what we want to show when you first get into this. When you first get into the page, we want to show whatever's in this landing page. So we're going to make it really simple. We'll just add a rich text component. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I wanted a stylized text component. You know what? It doesn't matter. So let's say, welcome to the My Notes application. Please create a new note or select an existing note. All right, so I'm going to save this. This is my notes landing page. And this is all that we have there. So I'm going to click this to go back to my parent page. And let's do a quick test. This is not going to work.
That doesn't sound like confidence.
Right, so it says no content available. So this is what happens if it doesn't find a page in your viewport. So why did it not find a page in our viewport? Well, we actually have to tell it to load one of our pages within the viewport. So I'm going to take a look. This is the notes landing CTB page. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an event handler. Little tip, when you're working in UI Builder, if you want to do something on page load, you can click on the body and the content tree here. And then you have these default events that fire. And one of them is when the page is ready. So we're going to add an event handler for when the page is ready. And one of our event handler for the page level is this UXF macroponent viewport load requested. So I could also just come in here and say viewport, and it's the only one.
Can you walk us through what all of that is?
Which one?
UXF macroponent viewport load requested.
So UXF stands for User Experience Framework. Macroponent is so every page is a macroponent. So that's like the name of the table is this UX macroponent for pages. It's kind of a, a component is the stuff that goes on the page, and a macroponent is like the page overall. So we're just saying we're requesting a load, the viewport to load something. So the first thing I forgot to do, so this is going to be a script that we have to fill out, and the route is going to be, let's see if I remember what we named this. Landing, was it notes landing? Notes
landing something dash CTB.
I think that's right. So I'm going to add, we have to give it the viewport element, but I forgot to copy this. So the viewport ID is always going to be viewport underscore, and then I'm pretty sure these are 3 random letters. So it's always changing. So notes landing CTB was the name of that. So let's go back to my body. All right. Okay, so this is all that I should have to pass it. So I'm going to hit apply. And then we're going to save. And then
Ooh.
see if this works. All right, so it did work. We have welcome to my notes application. Right, so now we've loaded something initially, and what we want to do next is we're going to want to load another page if I click new note, and then we'll do a third page if I click on an existing note. So let's start with this new note. Right, so if I go in here, we now see that I've got some subpages in here, and so I'm going to add another subpage, and we're going to call this new note CTE, and we'll hit create. And then this one won't have any parameters passed to it because it's just a new, it's going to be a new note. And so we'll need a few things on this one. So first, I'm going to create a couple of client state parameters because we're going to have a couple of values that we want. So title is the first one, and then the body of the note is the second one. So we've got those. And I'm going to add some components here where we're going to go input component. We'll call it title. And then we'll say enter a title here. And then I'm going to add a text area component. And we're going to call this body. Say enter the body of your note. And then let's add a button as well. And it's going to be a save button. And we'll give it a save icon. All right, so we have some things here. For the title, I'm going to use an event that says, hey, when you set an input, when you set a value on this input, we want to populate that client state parameter with the value. And then we will then use those client state parameters to send the data to the server. So I want update client state parameter. I have one called title. And then we want the payload from this event. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the body. Where we want body, and then we want the payload again. All right, let's check and make sure. So we did value set on both of them. It's throwing me off that these events are in different orders on this one. That's right. And then one last thing, we need a data resource that will send these, let's say, to the server. So we want a create record data resource. And then the actual one last thing that we have to create is a client script that creates the to-do, or it's not a to-do, it's a note. And I am going to cheat a little bit and grab a client script that I have already written.
That's allowed.
So let's go ahead. All right, so this is my query. So I'm building an encoded query based on these two, based on the client state parameters. So api.state.title is that first client state parameter, and then api.state.body is the second client state parameter. This is an encoded query, and then we're going to take that encoded query and we're going to send it to the server. The name of my table is this x_notes note. And then we've got a new query. We're not using display values. So let's make sure that my create record 1 is the correct name of the data resource. It is called create record 1. I could change the name of this. Well, let's do it. It's generally a good practice to create note to do that. All right, so we called that create note, and then we'll change this to say create note. All right, so what are the chances that this is going to work? Oh, we have to do one more thing. Well, we have to do a couple more things. So we have to call this client script from the save button. So I'm going to say when the button is clicked, I'm going to call that create note script. So you can see that once I create a client script, it shows up as I'm choosing event handlers. So we're going to choose that script as an event handler. And now I'm going to save it. We're going to go back to the parent page. And I need to tell the viewport to load that other page. So that one was called new note CTB. So we are going to say, hey, when this button is clicked, remember that one, but we're going to say when the button is clicked, we want to do the same thing that we did earlier, where we say UXF macroponent viewport load requested. And then this was new note CTB. All right, how confident are we that this works?
I have all confidence in you, Brad.
Oh, thanks, Chuck. All right, and hey, so that worked. Let's see.
Nice.
Here is a title.
That's pretty snappy too.
All right, so I saved it. If we were doing this for real, we'd do all sorts of things like on save. I would, show a message and clear out values. But I'm just going to refresh and see if I get new notes in my list, a new note in my list. And we got it. All right, so that worked. All right, 2 down, 1 to go. The third one is the more complex one. So the next thing we want to do is if I click on one of these, I want to show that note in the middle here, and I want to be able to update it. So this is when we actually get into passing values to our subpages, which will be fun. So I'm going to go ahead and create a third subpage, and we'll call this edit note CTB. Lowercase CTB. And then for this one, I'm going to add an optional parameter, and we'll call it note ID. So that when I call this the subpage from the parent page, I can pass the sysID of that node into the page. All right, and so if I look at that, I have is it right over there? It is. Okay. All right, so now we need a data resource to look up that record that I'm passing. Look at record. This is going to be on my notes table. And then the record is going to be what we passed in. So I created that optional parameter, and now I can select it under context.props.nodeID. And then we are going to return the title and the body. And you can see here that you know, the lookup or the query data resources always give me an idea of what the result is going to look like as far as the JSON goes, so I know how to use this later on. And then we're going to be also updating a record, so I'm going to go ahead and add an update record data resource. And we'll rename this to update note.
Are you going to rename the other one too?
We could. I'm not going to use it for anything like in a script, but we can rename it. Let's call it. Okay. And then I'm going to add a title and a body again. And then the initial value is going to be the title dot value. And then the initial value for the body is going to be the same thing except the body. Okay, and then we're going to add our fields again. And we'll hopefully go through this real quick. Title, we don't need placeholder text, but I am going to bind this to data resource. And then when the value is set, we will write that to the client state parameter. Yeah. Okay, I don't know why that was so hard, but let's do the text area again. And the value for this one is going to be body value. Body, and then we need a save button.
That'd be nice.
All right, so let's save this. And then we're going to go back and create a client script. And I'm going to
Don't we already have one called create note? Or is this update note?
Yeah, this is update note. They're on separate pages, so the name doesn't matter, but thanks.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
Because it is not creating anything, it's just updating. All right, so we're gonna grab values. All right, so our note sysid is that note ID that we're pulling in from the parent, or the parent is passing us. Then we're going to grab the client state parameters for the title and the body. And then we're going to create our query. And I think we called this update note, right? Let's see.
I don't know if I'm ever going to get used to those backticks.
Look up update note. Yeah, that's what we called it. All right, so the update takes one more parameter or property than the create did, where we're passing it the sysid of the record we want to update. So let's go ahead and save here. And then we'll go back. And for this one, right, we want to say whenever we click on one of these, which we have a row clicked event, we want to do that macro component view requested. No, I had already. What was that? Viewport.
Viewport under DUJ.
DUJ. There we go.
I remember it was really close to DOJ.
Right, and that page was new note CTB, I think. And then params is what we're going to update here. And I'm going to copy paste. Once I find where I put this. All right. So the params is this object where event.payload.sysid is the sysid of the list item. And if you ever, so one of the things I like to do if I've not worked with a specific component and I'm not sure what the payload is, I will create a new client script that just logs out like event.payload, and then I will call the client script from whatever I'm doing here. So you could, create a client script that just does some logging and then select that as an event handler, and then you can see what it's doing. Because this payload actually has a lot of info about the record, and we're just grabbing the sysid for our purposes here. Okay, and it's possible that this could work, but I feel like I'm missing a step, so we'll see.
You got this, man.
All right, so if I look at here is a title note, the sysid did not pass over.
Oh, yeah. Because the placeholder text is still there.
Well, is this different? Let's see.
It's good to have problems. That way people see debugging.
Yeah, we did it on purpose. New note CTB, new note CTB. Oh no, it should have been edit note. That's why it was. Edit note CTB is the route or the name of the page. All right, now let's try this.
Ding. Yay.
So let's
That's part
see.
one.
Second test code. All right, it looks like that works. So let's see if this saved. Do we have success? All right, we have saved. Let's refresh and see if it changed. Oh, it didn't change. Okay, so let's see. Let's go back into that page.
Was that also, you updated to the edit note CTB? Was that also in the save handler?
That's a good question. Let's look at it. Edit note CTB. So let's look at the client script. Note sysid. Note sysid.
Oh, no, okay.
Title is title. Body is body. Wonder if the problem is here. So let's say, let's do some logging. And let's just log the query here.
And we're sure the save button is calling the script, right?
We're not sure. That's a great question. I think it is, but so let's just see. Oh, good call. So many pieces. All right. Well, let's see. Maybe
Wait, I missed it. What did you discover you missed?
Our button didn't actually do anything. So we didn't have the event handler to call our client script from the button. So when you
that's handy.
Yeah.
Not the first or the last time we're going to do something like that.
Nope.
No. All right. So let's refresh.
I feel that happens to everybody when you, where are my logs? Oh, I never called it.
I knew I had missed something. I thought all right. Success. Let's save that. Oh, and we were logging something.
Hey, there's your log.
It looks like it's passing.
Got part of it.
Why is this undefined? Well, let's see if the
Title changed at least.
hey, there we go. Success. Undefined.
It's perfect.
Hey, log
The log said undefined, so now the note says undefined.
You don't need to know what your notes say, right?
Save is working.
API.state.body. So body, body value. I think this is where we are running into something. Payload.value is undefined. Maybe.
The payload dot something dot value?
What does
No.
the title one look like?
The title one's just payload.value.
That's a good point. Look at one that works.
Yeah.
Yep. So is it not getting into the payload?
Look up result.body.value. This is a weird body.value.
Jordan was asking, is it because that it's just hint text? But when we load when we click one of the records on the left, it's loading the values that it did a lookup.
Which is
they're
doing it
loading
correctly.
properly.
It's just not saving.
Yeah, and I didn't. Here, let's mess with it a little bit. Then. All right, I haven't changed anything because it's not letting me save.
You too may run into a similar problem.
So if I just hit save, so the initial values aren't loading. So if I say success.
Okay. Yep. These will both be saved.
Yeah, so the initial values aren't working.
That's a good way to diagnose it.
So let's make sure it did save.
Yep.
Yeah. So those client state parameters, data lookup note result title value, but they are working when we put them in here, right? The value. I wonder if yeah, I wonder if we just have some sort of race conditions where like the client state parameter should update whenever this value updates from the lookup note data resource. But
Instead of doing it by value, can you do an onload script?
yeah, we can. I have had trouble in the past setting the value. What are we at? So let's come back to this if we have to. So we kind of know what the problem is, in that these client state parameters aren't getting set correctly, but it does save. So I want to do a couple more things around viewports before we're done. So what we have done so far is we have shown one way to pass data into one of these. So Jordan, I see your comment. We'll come back to it at the end if we have time. I think I know how to fix the problem, but we'll come back to it. So what we did was we passed a parameter into this viewport, and there's more than one way to do this, and I wanted to show the other way, which is if you have a data resource on the parent here, you can access some of its values from within the viewport, and you can do that a little differently. So did we have a data resource? So let's do. Let's just do this and find a data resource, and we'll make it a lookup records. And let's say we're just looking up the newest note. And so we're basically just going to sort on created. Oh, I already had that. Let's do it twice. And then I just want the first result, and I want let's pass the title down. All right, so the newest note was that success note. It has a title. So this is this lookup records data resource. So I'm going to save this. And from my landing CTB, we're going to open that up and we're going to try to access it. So, but I'm going to cheat a little bit because I can't remember. I don't know. We need a client state parameter. Sure, let's just call it newest note. Data lookup records results dot 0 dot title dot value, and then I'm going to copy this. All right. So now we're going to go into this landing. We'll save and continue. All right, and then I'm on the body here. I'm going to go to config, and I'm going to add another property here for, let's call it a new note. I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to access that data resource from here. And then let's just add a new stylized text. And pull that in. Right, and so the trick with this one is that I can't directly reference the parent page's data resources from the components. I have to pass them in through a page property. So the magic here was adding a page property, and from the page properties, I can access those parent data resources. So let's make sure that it works. All right, so we did get that. So that's the newest note was that success note, and we're able to pull it. All right, so that was two different ways to pass something into the page. We can use a page property to reference a data resource, or we can use that event handler to pass in a parameter to the page. So one last thing that I want to do is I want to use an event and bubble the event up from the subpage to the parent page. So generally, just in working with web components in general, but also with UI Builder, you're passing properties down and you're bubbling events up. So if you are calling a component from within a component, you're doing local development, you're going to pass properties down to the component. And then if you want your child component to do something to the parent component, you're firing an event and that goes back up. So UI Builder is the same paradigm here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add another event to the, or we're going to add another event handler to my button, and we will pass just a message up saying that it was updated, the note got updated. So what I'm going to do is I am going to add a dispatched event to this subpage. So we're going to add a dispatched event. I'm just going to call it, let's say note created. It's creating this event name. I'm going to give it a payload, and the payload is just going to be a message. So add. Right, I have this dispatched event as a message, and then on the button, after we update the note, we're going to add another event handler, and we're going to use that note created event. It's got that message. I should have given it a label so we know what's going on there. But the message is just going to be, let's just say note updated. So we're going to save this. We're going to go back to this main page. And then I'm going to add a handled page event that matches that dispatched page event from the child page. Was that, did we call it note updated? I should keep track of things better.
I don't remember.
Note updated. And then let's, here. We're gonna client state parameter we call message, and let's put it, let's add a stylized text, make it H2, and we'll bind it to that message. And then, sorry, I know I'm clicking around everywhere. I want to get this done. So we have that, I created the handled event. So now I can add an event handler to it, and we can update the client state parameter that I just created. with, we should have a payload and we have that, we named it message. So we're going to save this. And then what we should be able to do now is when we update one of these existing notes, I should get a message that says note updated over here. So second test note. All right, and my message did not show up. I think this happened to me when I was testing. Let's see if it happened the same way. So it's here. And then if we look at our dispatched event.
Note created. You said note updated, I think, on the other side.
Oh, I think you're right. All right, so let's change this. Well, we'll leave it. I did
Because
call
it
it
would
note.
definitely make more sense naming
The
your
other thing
event
that
properly.
happened, the other thing that happened was my payload field went away. And this happened to me in
boy.
testing. I think this is some sort of bug. So I'm going to apply that. And then if we go back,
Interesting.
it's still there. So let's save. We'll go back. And then we need to update the name of our handled page event to match. Even though it should be updated, or is it not going to let me?
Uh-oh.
Just create a new one. Message. And here we will update that client state parameter. Payload.message. All right, so did it work this time? We are refreshing. All right, second test node. And it still
Arg.
did not work. Let's go see if we lost it again. So note created. We did lose it again. Let's
Yep.
try this one more time.
Maybe it also has problems saving things.
Let's make sure it's still on. Updated. Yep. All right, third time's a charm.
I believe.
We'll give it a 3. Hey.
Hey!
All right.
All you have to do is redo the work 3 times.
Yeah, yeah. So again, that was bubbling events up after we passed properties down. You know, hopefully this kind of lets you, take this and run with it a little more. But let's go ahead and continue and troubleshoot this just for a couple of minutes to see if we can get it to work. So our
Doesn't
problem,
like ending any shows with a defect record in the backlog.
our problem here is that if we don't update these, because
Okay.
well, the page was already loaded, so we set those client state parameters already. Right. So now if we
Oh,
do
right.
it, they're
Right.
undefined.
Right.
But if I were to save them, then they work.
And everybody's
So
happy.
the initial values of my client state parameter are no good. So I think what I want to do is just set these back. And then I just want to, we'll do it in the script and see if that works. So let's go. Title. I think this will work, but we'll see.
And you're essentially doing what we mentioned earlier, right? About just setting them on load.
Yes, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So I want API dot set state. It's all right, set state. I didn't get an autocomplete, so I think it's set state, but I've been doing so many things that my brain's not quite working correctly, so we'll see. Let's do all right, let's see what this does.
Do you want to? Was that pipe supposed to be in there?
It was, I was just separating them.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you know what? We have to fire this from somewhere. Let's do it on page ready. So we can also do it once the data resource is completed, but I've actually had bad luck firing things from that event, which is why I'm not doing it right now. But we'll see. Maybe that's what we'll have to do. We did not get our script here.
Hit save just in case. Ooh, that's different.
They're
It
empty.
went from undefined to nothing.
Hey, a different result is always good for debugging.
Why did we not get?
Yeah, it's coming from the same API data, so.
I'm reading the comments above that script. Is it params.api?
No, you can just use API.
Okay.
Well, let's make sure we're going to look at one last thing, and then we will stop. So the API docs for the API class are here, and so I want to make sure that that is set state. Yeah. let's do this. I want API.data.lookup note. And let's just see, let's make sure we get something here. So let's go ahead and click into one, and it's empty.
Nothing.
All right.
Big empty.
We only have a few minutes left. This is bugging me. So let's say data fetch succeeded. Lookup, oh, that's not the one. Lookup note. Let's call our client script from here. Oh yeah. Yeah, if you ever choose a data resource and you don't see a save button, scroll down and it's there.
Gotcha.
All right, this is the last thing we're trying. We're just looking for this not to be empty.
You removed it from the page loaded successfully?
I left it, so we'll see. They're both empty. Cool.
Okay.
All right, well, I wish we had had success, but that's all the time we have, so I'm gonna stop sharing.
We had 3 out of 4.
Yeah, the stuff that I wanted to communicate worked. With just that one little issue. Yeah, so that was Viewports. You can also use Viewports in tabs and modals. So you can do it a couple of ways in a modal where you can actually use a viewport modal, or you can put your viewport component into a custom modal, which I think is actually a little bit easier to use than the actual viewport modal. So yeah, and then you can also use them in tabs as well. So that could be a nice thing, if you're using configurable workspace and you've got, different things you want to show on an incident form based on, different clicks, you could pull up different things in the viewport. So lots of different uses for them.
Can viewports have viewports in them?
What a good question. I'm probably, maybe, I don't know.
Paige
Another
also
time.
had a question that said, unrelated to viewports, but does the future of UIB include components for catalog items / record producers?
There is a component for catalog item, maybe, or record producer. I can't remember which one, but it's pretty vanilla. You can't do a lot of stuff with it. So I think the plan is to eventually support them, support catalog stuff, and in Now Experience. I can't tell you when that will be though.
All right. Thank you very much, Brad. Thanks,
Yeah.
Earl, for keeping an eye on everything as well. And
Brad.
thank you, dear viewer, for watching. And we will see you. There's no Creator Toolbox next Tuesday. Again, that's Tech Now week. And we should see you again, is it the 7th, on Tuesday, September 7th, for another CTB? I'm trying
That
to think.
sounds right, yeah.
All right. Till then, everybody take care, be safe, have fun.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Brad.